And welcome back to another edition of the John Wayne Search Protector podcast, a 60/40 production. I'm Eric Halsey.
I'm Alex Midway, and I turn enough tricks to buy a new microphone. Not enough to get speech lessons, though. How's it sound?
It sounds great. I'm going to have to start advertising at that dumpster for me, and then hopefully I can afford one too one day.
You stay on your side of the tracks, ho. So let's jump into it. Tesla ticker 317 last week and 334. Honestly, when you keep bottoming out like that, you're going to bounce back. And great news today because the Tesla Twitter account tweeted that with the Robotaxi network, your Tesla will be able to earn money while you're not using it, essentially paying for itself. And I'm sure full self-driving is also coming this year. And then everything else is going to be affordable, and you just keep buying Teslas, and they'll make money for you in a magical world.
You know, so we ran into that whole thing where they were YouTubers went to do the auto driving, and it disengaged right before impact. Like it knows it's going to have impact, but it doesn't catch it fast enough, so it just disengages it, so they're not legally responsible. How's that going to work with when they're robo-taxiing?
Don't ask, no questions. But honestly, full disclosure, I kind of like that thing disengaging right before it crashes. And I hope with a car full of YouTubers, it just seeks out semis.
You know, unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of anytime the car starts driving itself. I don't even like cruise control, but I'm a bit of a control freak that way. This thing's going to start mowing down school kids and stuff. And eventually, instead of whenever they sue Tesla, they're all just going to get deported to El Salvador.
Trump actually, he briefly fired a person in charge of copyright because allegedly he wasn't rubber stamping Elon's AI platform to be able to, I don't know, break through a bunch of copyrights and just data mine copyrighted works.
You know, how much can one man's plate hold while he's already just holding on all of our Social Security information?
Well, he's already started importing South African persecuted people from a giant genocide. And I do love people, like white people love to over-exaggerate things. Like, yeah, man, we're not being able to say Christmas, just like slavery. Like, bro, like it's not even effing close. Like, we are the most dramatic human beings. Like, every Karen out there is like, this is exactly how the African Americans must have felt. Like, no, it's not.
This is the whole anti-woke thing. Like oh, are these white people in South Africa not being treated fairly because, you know, their dads and grandparents were slavers? And they're like, well, we can't have that either. Burn that book.
Yeah. They took a part of a land that I acquired during apartheid away from me. This is genocide. Like, yeah. Shut up, Grandpa.
This is the same thing. This is our Holocaust.
I know how the Jews now felt. Like, come on, dude. There's only so many of these things you can drag in here.
No, new administration. I heard that whole thing was a hoax.
Yeah. Well, Glenn Youngkin apparently just now vetoed a thing where African American studies do not count towards your high school credits to graduate. So kudos, Virginia, bringing it back.
I did just catch a quick video of Youngkin giving the commencement speech somewhere, and the whole graduating class just walked out on him.
I think I was last year, but I'm pretty sure there'll be another throwback to it if he's dumb enough to go walk into one.
Well, even if it was from last year, it's like that feel-good movie when you're sick. Yeah. Mine's Princess Bride. You get tired and you're like, I remember this used to make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. This will help. Works every time.
Chicken Soup for the Soul is watching a Nazi get punched in the mouth. That's always been my jam.
Indiana Jones tried to tell us through like 4 different movies.
Sure, we're canceling him. Hey, what's it called? So now, like, any of the movies are like recorded outside of America, they're facing a tariff.
Yep.
Well, you know, that's an industry that's been suffering a lot.
Well, it's all that wokeness from the other countries.
We need to make more of us. what was it? Home front and what's the other thing about the child kidnappers? And when they found out that some of the people who bankrolled that movie were essentially pedos.
Oh, it was at D'Souza. It was like all of this was absolutely made up.
Yeah, it's Angel Studios. That's a guy's pumping that garbage out.
Make the story to fit your narrative.
Yeah. 10 trillion views.
Overrated.
You guys didn't say you were fact checking.
Excuse me. I believe we all agreed we weren't going to fact check.
Yeah, but rules were we're allowed to lie. This is a vice presidential debate. Yeah, but the rules.
Dude, I want to be a politician so bad, just to debate and just throw at, like, you know, when I won Mr. Universe last year, because I'm also 6'3", 224. I hate them all.
All right, let's speed right on along here. Let's start with Ukraine. Give you a little quick update. Over the weekend, Russia launched 108 drones on Mother's Day. Ukraine was able to shoot down about half of them, so that means half of those drones made surprise deliveries for Mother's Day, and they weren't carrying Amazon packages. So the same guy that shoots rockets on Easter also sent drones on Mother's Day, so special place in hell for you, Vlad. Special place in hell. Now,
sorry. Did you see his new house?
Oh, yeah. The architectural villain central casting house.
Yeah, I the post I saw just underneath it was like, okay, so he's like a real Bond villain.
While the people in the streets are being sent off to a war in a meat grinder and have trouble finding food, and God help you if you need any kind of mental help for your drinking, he lives in a villainous lair that's designed by an architect. And if you got a sec, just go Google it. Putin's new house. I'm sure it'll come up. And it's one of the saddest things, man. While you screw the population, you just keep building more rich stuff for yourself. That clearly shows whose interests you have in mind.
Well, if there's one thing that you go to sleep with that hope in your mind. Yeah. If there's anything I learned about houses on stilts, is that Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 2 pulled one down with an F-250. Someone's got to do it, man.
Start sending over F-250s. Definitely don't use those cyber trucks.
We're not fact checking, right?
Yeah.
You know that movie was no?
Not at all.
Yeah, you know that movie was based on a true story?
All of them are.
Yeah.
1 through 4. So let's keep it local as well, but with a little Ukrainian tie. So Fearless Leader has been working very, very hard on this whole Ukraine peace deal. And these 24 hours that he said he would finish the whole thing in have been dragging on about it a little bit. But back in February on the 11th, the 13th, and also in April in St. Petersburg, whereas the early locations were in Moscow, Trump's envoy to stop a Russian-Ukraine war was negotiating to stop it. So Steve Witkoff is a guy that Trump sent there this year. And Steve Witkoff, his qualifications are off the roof. Not only has he worked in real estate, but he's also sold a couple of Bitcoins here and there. So he's down there and he's negotiating this whole piece, and he's down in Moscow for those 2 days, and then he's in St. Petersburg. And the thing about Steve Witkoff is, smart as a man is, does not speak Russian. So when you go to negotiate with the Russians, what things would you bring with you?
I would bring a whiteboard and some dry erase markers and just try and pound it out myself using pictures. The international language.
You would have to rely on that type of a game because our boy did not bring his own interpreter. He relied on Russian interpreters. So when you go negotiate with somebody and you're like, you know what, man, we trust you so much that you go ahead and bring in the interpreters. So this little genius is sitting there, and the 2 Russian interpreters are just talking back and forth, and he wouldn't be able to understand a single word.
I love that. Like, if you or I showed up to our normal jobs this unprepared or unqualified, they'd be like, you got to go, man. Like, hit the bricks, buddy. Not here. Can't wait to see what what full department he ends up heading.
Back when I was in, man, we'd have to always walk around with like a pen and some papers. You could always take notes, always be ready. My guy shows up for international negotiations. He's like, yeah, I don't have my own interpreter. Like, it's okay. We have one for you. Very, very good. Very, very perfect. And honestly, Trump negotiated Middle East peace last year with Jared Kushner. So, you know what? Why not go back to the well? And maybe this one will work. Maybe we're all completely wrong.
You know, if you can't depend on that little weasel, who can you? Who can you? You know?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because our next topic today is going to be the little weasel, Jared Kushner. And for right now, we're going to welcome the world of make-believe and close your eyes for a second. Now imagine it was a couple years ago and Barack Hussein Obama is in office. And he comes out and he says the following. In the Middle East, they're going to go ahead and give me a plane. And I'm going to keep this plane. And right before I get out of office, I'm going to transfer it over to my presidential library. And it's going to be my plane. And this is super duper on the up and up. Nothing is wrong with this. And yeah, let's do this. Obamacare. Now, open your eyes and understand that this is what Trump said, but with a lot more, it's the greatest, it's the best, and usual Trumpisms. And not a single person is freaking out over this whatsoever.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are. It's just as Americans, our voices no longer matter.
The two-way crowd about tyrants and everything else has gotten real effing quiet as of lately.
It's like they just keep letting it happen. Like first it was the crypto, and then it was being able to, or no, even before that, it was we're only going to stay in Mar-a-Lago and government has to pay for everybody's housing, which I happen to own. There's just so many different. Jimmy Carter had to let go of his peanut farm because he didn't want a conflict of interest. And I'm just starting to think that's really like wholesome, like soulful, like, yes, this is the spirit of the law. And Trump's just like, nah, no, I'm going to give away my $500,000 salary. Nobody forget that ever, because I'm only making bajillions of dollars screwing everything else.
Yeah, it's cool. I've given up my salary, but anytime Air Force One refuels, it's at a Trump golf course. Like, not the military base that's right next to there. It's legit the Trump golf course, and they're just getting bamboozled for the price of oil. Like, Dick Cheney's company in Iraq charged less for oil than Trump's golf courses are charging right now, and it's not even a combat zone.
Well, luckily, we're here to front that bill, so.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we got 4.5 million in tax cuts. Well, I'm sorry. That's trillion in tax cuts coming. But
and once that trickles down, though, we'll be able to pay these bills no problem, because economy.
Because that's what rich people do. They give it out to poor people.
They're very good at definitely not continuously grabbing onto power and money.
Said every person who's never worked as a waiter. That's cool. The rich guys usually tip you the most. Like, the F they do, man. It's a middle collar. Like, the blue collar guy who comes in, he's, hey, man, I had a rough day, but I understand where you're coming from. And they'll tip you, like, more than what they should. And the rich guy's like, I don't know, 5% seems about right.
Just go buy more money.
Yeah, you're just going to spend it on heroin anyway, you stupid pores.
Oh, one day he'll kick that habit and then run our whole Department of Health.
So, let's get into this whole plane thing and exactly why Qatar, the small Middle Eastern country, is giving out a plane. And for that, we got to hop on our time machine and we got to go back to 2007. 2007, Jared Kushner, the husband to a chick who Trump wants to sleep with, wants to buy 666 Fifth Avenue for $1.8 billion. Now, as a real estate guru, he is doing this at the height of a real estate prices. And even when he bought this building, it was already thought to be very high in price. But you know what? He's a swinging D, and he buys this building. So next year there's a financial crisis, and some of the money that he gets from his building is from people who live it. Groups. Citigroup is one of them. They don't want to renew the lease, so Jared sells off 49% of his ownership for about $525 million. Fast forward a couple years to 2010, and the building is reappraised for, and remember, it was bought for 1.8 back in 2007. We will fast forward 3 years down the road. What do you think the building is appraised at?
All right, so just so I'm following this correctly, when you start spouting numbers, my mind wanders.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he buys it for $1.8 billion.
That is correct.
Okay, so Mr. Blue Collar Bootstraps over here somehow gets $1.8 billion invested, and then he has to sell off 49%.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay,
yep, to make ends meet.
Okay, so that should have been $900 million, right, for 50%, but it was only $525 million because he lost all that money, right?
Well, the building still should be worth what the building is, depending on who owns a part of it. Doesn't really matter. So, if you buy a car for 20 grand, and then now you have to sell a part of this car to a friend of yours, your 50% stake for, let's say, another 5 grand. That car is still worth the original amount. You just own less of it.
Okay, but for a $1.8 billion investment, he had to sell 49% of it, and he only got $525 million, right?
Correct.
Okay, so wouldn't that mean at the time he sold it, the 50% ownership, it would have been $1 billion, not 1.8?
That would make a little bit more sense. Correct.
Okay.
See where we go.
I do love how good these guys are at economy.
Well, 2010, it went down to 820 million. So even less than 1 billion. So we started at 1.8, started from the opposite of a bottom. Now we're here. So 820, which is, let's see. Oh, that's less than half in 3 years.
They're all economic wizards, man. This is why we have to keep voting Republican. They're just so good at economy.
So, they're good at economy and they're also good at networking. Because you know what? In 2015, Jared and his daddy Charles, they start negotiating with Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani. So they get him to commit to $500 million. And how they do it, who knows? But one of the whole caveats in that conversation is, hey man, if I'm going to give you $500 million, you got to get other people to do it. Well, they couldn't do it, so the deal fell through. 2016, the guy who wants to sleep with Jared's wife wins the presidency. And for a bit, the talk about getting any kind of investment into Fifth Avenue is kind of put on hold. So then, I don't know, maybe it's going to be a conflict of interest. Well, when there's a conflict of interest, you send your dad. So at that point, Charles Kushner, his dad again, meets with the Qatari finance minister, Sharif Al-Imadi, in New York to seek more investment from a Qatari sovereign wealth fund. At this moment, no deal is reached. But they're still trying, and they're doing everything, and they deny it. They're like, you know what? No way. I'm in the government. There's no way we're meeting with foreign dignitaries. We're not doing any of this. 2 weeks later, Kushner companies acknowledged the meeting. Charles Kushner told the Washington Post that he refused the proposal to avoid a conflict of interest. I'm sure he's voted and said, no, you guys keep your money. We're upside down and up to our neck in debt, but it's cool. We're ethical rich folk.
Okay, so just so I'm still following here. Lost money, tried to get foreign money, denied meeting the people, then came out to a newspaper and said, yeah, but I denied it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm following here.
It's like the one guy who goes to the house, some floozy's house, and then his girlfriend busts him. And then, or it's Chris Hansen. He's like, so why don't you take a seat right here? He's, why'd you bring these condoms? Like, oh, I don't know. Puppets. I'm going to blow puppets with it. He's like, all right. What about these smeared off ices? Like, oh, I was just going to drink them myself. You're caught red-handed, dude. And then he's like, no, I'm just carrying this it's just for looks and everything else like that. Yeah, that's what's going on.
I wanted to surprise this underage child and then let them know this is not something I'm willing to do.
So let's keep it going because it's 2017 and 2017's a busy, busy year. Trump makes his first foreign visit to Saudi Arabia with Rex Tillerson, Jared Kushner, and Steve Bannon. I mean, Steve Bannon? But whatever. Let's keep going. During the trip, who do you think has a private dinner with the leaders of Saudi Arabia and UAE?
Honestly, it could have been any one of those dirtbags, and I would not be shocked.
It ain't the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson. It's the guy living in his mom's basement and a guy whose wife Trump wants to have sex with again. So, yeah, they meet with him and they lay out a blockade to pretty much, a plan to blockade Qatar. Rex Tillerson is effing livid. He doesn't learn about this meeting until afterwards. He leaves the administration in March of 2018, and he only finds out about this meeting after he had left. And that is insane. When you got guys meeting with foreign heads of state and they're not disclosing it to the Secretary of State who's on the trip with them, that is insane.
That is that's given very what mama don't know won't hurt her kind of vibes.
It's cool. We're in real estate and I run a podcast. Let's go deal with the Saudis.
Oh my God. This is our country, man.
So
it's like our founding fathers envisioned, right?
So the Kushners keep working and trying to get more money for this just horrible effing deal. And they also travel to Saudi Arabia to meet with MBS. Kushner even flew commercial. And the White House only mentioned it after he was on the ground. Again, I would imagine because a news reporter probably spotted him at the airport. Some intelligence officials were caught off guard by Kushner's trip, and most people in the White House were kept out of a loop about the trip and purpose. Intelligence officials were troubled by the lack of information about the topics that were discussed. And I would imagine the lack of information means a complete darkness of what was discussed.
Yeah, no, but I don't see any issues with that. Why would we need to know what they're promising?
Because later that year, the Kushner companies received a loan from Qatar-based. First, I'm sorry, I'm skipping over. Later that year, the blockade of Qatar began, and the U.S. did nothing to stop it initially. Later on, the Kushners got the actual loan from a Qatar-based company for a Chicago property. They received a $184 million loan from Apollo Global Management to refi a building in Chicago. The Qatar Investment Authority is one of Apollo's largest investors. What really made this loan a standout is the fact that it was triple the average value traditionally made by this company. So after all this wheeling and dealing, backdoors, and then essentially kind of like standing out of a way while everyone blockades Qatar, like the Qatari government got the memo. Like, okay, we got to actually start doing things here. We got to start bribing this guy to not F with us. So they had one of his subsidiaries do a loan back there. It was tripled up. In addition to the deal, let's see. Nope, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So back in the first administration, they waited and they tried a hardball. Then they're like, no, we're getting blockaded. It's a small country. It almost got wiped off the map. This time around, they're like, F it. Just give him a stupid plane. The guy likes gold things. Put a couple gold toilets on there. Hopefully he leaves us alone. And that's how we're starting off Trump 2.0.
And it's clearly a racket. It is upstanding Italian gentleman coming to your neighborhood and going, we could protect this in case somebody throws a brick through this window. It's just a bigger scale of it.
A lot of bad things happening here in the Middle East, and you're a pretty small guy, my dude. It's in the U.S. Well, got a lot of assets here. We got a lot of power. We could make sure that nothing happens to this pretty little place of yours, but definitely need a plane with a gold toilet.
Well, if anybody, it's clearly just blackmailing countries for money, right?
Insane.
So when something like this happens on that level, who do you take a problem like that to?
Well, that's why we have a system of checks and balance in this country. And you know what? We are not going to stand for it. The DOJ is going to step in. I trust this system.
Absolutely. You take it to the top of the top that you can. The U.S. the Attorney General.
Excellent.
Who in this case is Pam Bondi.
Seems like a reputable woman.
I mention her because here's a layup question for you. Can you guess who worked as a foreign lobbyist for Qatar from 2020 to 2022?
There's no possible way that is Pam Bondi. She is justice, she is blind, and she is dispensing the will of the people.
So it is 100% her.
And I am 100%
rats. Another conflict. What I found was interesting when I was doing my digging here. Do you know how much old Wham Bam Thank You Pam was getting paid to lobby for Qatar?
There's no way it's a cheap amount.
From 2020 to 2022, she was getting paid $115,000 a month.
Huh. So carryable one.
Yeah, a bunch, right?
Yeah.
So do you know how much the U.S. Attorney General pulls down now?
$114,000 a month?
Close. $250,600 a year.
But I mean, there's benefits.
Yeah. It's almost like other things. It's almost like you can do other things to make money on the side.
There's no way you take that big of a pay cut and not get something on the back end.
So Bondi left the job making almost $1.4 million a year to a position and moved to a position of power that only makes 1/6 of that. ... on the books.
Yeah.
So I guess these totally transparent capitalists really just love the country so much that they're willing to make less. And I know we're not a video, but I need you to imagine the most dramatic eye roll ever right now. It's ridiculous.
Do you remember the Simpsons episode where they're doing the movie thing and they're all standing there and it's Mr. Burns' film? And Krusty's like, yeah, it moved me to a bigger house.
Yes.
Uh-oh, I said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet.
That's exactly what's going on. So when asked for comment about this obvious conflict of interest and crystal clear case of bribery, Bondi and the other lawyers of the party of transparency contend that this arrangement is legal if routed through the Defense Department and that it sidesteps constitutional and bribery statutes because the gift is not tied to one specific official act.
Yeah, he's got to do a lot of things for the Qataris. It's not just one thing. It's the whole thing that gets me. Like, I can kind of understand, like, you know what? We got this jet. We're keeping it. Like, the U.S. just saved $400 million. But he's keeping it for himself when he's finished, man. Like, he even came out and said, like, no, it's going to be mine.
I think the scariest part is that it's clearly they're like, you need to use this as Air Force One, and then you can have it afterwards. If this was just a straight up, like, we're giving it to you, that's it, end of story, that's one thing. But this has so many different security risks when they're like, but you have to use it now while you're currently in power. What could go wrong here? We're trustworthy.
And afterwards, if he gets this jet, he's going straight to the Soviet Union and selling it, right?
He's going to get another stupid house on stilts right next to his best friend over there.
His hero.
I hate this place. Oh, but like Elon said, I can be a good judge of whether this is a conflict of interest or not.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who's got a bunch of contracts with the U.S. government should definitely take a look at which contracts with the U.S. governments are bad.
Party of transparency, baby.
Not a single one of SpaceX's was. Just spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh, your Starlink's cutting out.
Well, I guess in that end, I guess it's time for us to punch out. Let us know if a new camera, if a new sound feels any better. I'm Alex Midway.
And I'm Eric Halsey.
Daddy, chill.
Later, Gators.